Great. So that's being recorded now, yeah, onto YouTube, yeah. Oh, and there's Oksana there. So hello, Oksana. That's lovely. Okay. So we'll just close our eyes one more time before we put the poem up, just to hold each other's virtual hands in just this appreciation and thankfulness of our togetherness, which is all the one presence. Presencing itself as us. Okay, thank you for putting that up, Joni. So this was the poem that came through to me in the early hours of the morning. It's always the early hours. Ah. As I let only you inform my senses, it removes all my hesitation fences. As I let you see through my eyes, everything seen is an astonishing surprise. As I let you hear through my ears, it removes all my blocks and fears. As I let you meet with another, they feel as familiar as my sister or brother. All judgments drop as you show me who they are. Then I am dazzled by the light of their brilliant star. And as I let you play the music every time I'm performing, it feels so inspiring, so relaxing and transforming. And as I let you do the driving from my leaving to arriving, the journey's so peaceful and the path so straight. There's always a parking space and I'm never late. And wherever I go, I'm always here and now, living life in slow motion as you show me how to lean not unto my own understanding. And then in dropping all trying, my peace is expanding. And as I release all effort and second guessings, every moment of my life is abundant with blessings. And the only way I can live in this high altitude is by earthing myself in eternal gratitude. In constant thankfulness, my feet stay grounded while my soul is free to fly unbounded. So, Joni, if you just let that stay up there for a minute or two, I just want to say some things about it. And then I'd love to hear what anybody else um, says about this kind of experience. So, so my other hat is that, as I think you know, I play music and I'm in various bands and things like that. And we had a gig, a booking on Sunday, and I wasn't feeling too well. So, I was wondering how it would go. And then I reread this poem that had come and had the most wonderful trip there because I really did just let him do the driving from my leaving to arriving. And there was a perfect parking space, and I was early and not late. And you know, every and when I let him play, I play the accordion and it's very heavy, the one I have, and it's constantly in and out. And if my shoulder hurts and blah de blah, it's not easy. But I just let him to play the music. It's so inspiring, so relaxing, and it was just transforming. And then when I do that, I feel and can see the smile on everyone's faces, and they're just happy because I'm just relaxed. If one, it only takes one person to be deeply relaxed and in their center in a group of people for it to affect everybody in the same way. And the other thing, it was that line, the only way I can live in this high altitude is by earthing myself in eternal gratitude. And I really wondered about that line because I think all of us here, and I know I am, and I know you are just grateful all the time, just thankful that I've even occurred. I do feel I live my life in thankfulness and gratitude, but it was the fact that it said that's how you earth yourself. So I thought, so what is it about gratitude that particularly earths you, And there was just a load of truth download sort of came with that question. And I realized that it's that gratitude more than any other attribute of this wholeness that puts you back into the tree trunk rather than the branch or the twig or the leaf. It does, of all things, truth, life, love, it's gratitude that puts you right back in the middle of the rooted tree trunk, so that your soul can fly unbounded. So anyway, that's what came to me when I was doing that. So thank you, Joni, if you want to just let that go. And I'd love to hear from everybody else. Oh, I can see Rafi and Lynn, and this is lovely. Well, I'll just go along like that, how it appears on my screen. So Rafi, do you want to say something?
Yes, this poem is my biography. She said word for word, it's my biography. It's astounding. I'm reading the poem and I'm saying, this is all about me. This is about how everything comes through me. And since there are no such things as accidents, I just blew me away why she wrote this poem about me. Thank you so much. Word for word. I mean, including the driving and the parking and the people and total strangers saying hello to me, all the time. People smiling and saying, I don't know who they are. And wow, thank you. It's my biography. Whoa.
Oh, it's reflecting back to you, Rafi. That's lovely. Yeah. Did you put your hand? Did you want? No. Vince. Yes. Hi, Vince. That was lovely to
I
hear.
think Lynn was up before me.
Oh, I'm sorry, I couldn't see because the page was in front. So, uh, whoever wants to go first, go
I'll
for it.
just go real quick. So this is what we were talking about when we first started, when we first came in,
Oh,
about about
yes.
the about, I do my part and the Holy Spirit does the Holy Spirit's part. And so as long as I'm there, I'm standing up, I'm picking up my accordion, even if I don't feel like picking up my accordion because my body's hurting, I'm not feeling well. Who picks up the accordion? Who brings me to the vehicle, to the car? Who takes me to this is, we're just like, uh, we're being carried. That's what Jesus says in A Course in Miracles. When you've learned to decide with me, it'll be like you're being carried uh, uh, down a summer path down a path on a summer's day. It's like, that's what happens when we let go. And that's exactly what this poem is about, is I do my part, and then you do yours, and everything. It is, I think, wonderful to see myself as a partner in this salvation. So beautiful poem. Thank you, Mandy.
Oh, thank you. So beautifully said, Lynn. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yes, Vince.
Well, I love the tree trunk analogy because it feels like that's how what's high informs us. so the inform, allows that message to come to our form. And the whole arriving and driving thing, it matched my experience last week exactly, because I was running so late for something, and I put it in my map, and suddenly when I got in the car, the traffic had jumped by 15 minutes, so I was going to be very late for an appointment. And instead of panicking and trying to speed and cut in and out of traffic, I just smiled and I said, I'm going to leave this over to God. And I will make it whenever I make it. And as I did that, I saw my maps guide on my phone shave 8 minutes off my drive. And then as I went further and just appreciated that, it shaved another 8 minutes off my drive. And suddenly it was back down to the original time and I was on time. And, I didn't need uh, to worry about this. I just trusted it. And, the same thing happened when I finally gave over, my this difficult piece of music that, since you play the accordion, you might be able to relate. I'm not a musician, but I'm in this orchestra and I've been trying um to get this difficult piece, and I've been stumbling and stumbling, and finally I just said, maybe if I just give this over to God and just calm myself before I go into this, that's what I need to do. And I hit it, and I hit it, and I hit it for our show. So it was just, sometimes you have to just calm and experience that, and the rest takes care of it. God takes care of it. And I love that you play the accordion. And I wonder if you ever listened to the music of Astor Piazzolla.
He is my absolute hero. My favorite piece in the whole world is Oblivion by Astor Piazzolla, which I'm learning at the moment. And yeah, he's been my hero for years. I've watched everything about him, his biography and his when he's been talking. And yeah, I love his stuff. Ah, a
Right.
fellow fan. What do you play, Vince? What instrument do you play?
What I'm learning right now is instruments from Balinese gamelan.
Oh, I used to be in a Balinese gamelan for years. Yeah, I was in
Really?
gamelan. Yeah.
Yeah, we have one in Chicago, also a Javanese gamelan orchestra. And so it's a long story how I got there, but uh, one of the instruments that I was playing was the jagogan.
I don't know what that is actually, because we,
Yeah,
we had gongs and things that look like xylophones and stuff like that.
it's a metallophone. It looks like a
Oh, the
big
telephone thing.
xylophone.
Yeah, yeah,
Got six big key or five
yeah.
big keys.
Oh, I
Yeah.
never knew it was called that though. I see. Yeah, yeah. I played one of those. I didn't know it was called that though.
Yeah, sometimes they have different names too.
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I will pass. Thank you very much for hearing me.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I mean, I just love what you said because every so often, I don't know about you, but it's like I just get a wave of how did I ever think that I could do anything without spirit? How did I ever think that? I know I remember that the moment when I thought, oh no, it's just so awful. I have to rely on God so completely for absolutely everything. I'm just like a baby. I can't do anything. And I remember actually feeling a bit of shame, like I was so needy of God that it was that utter humble moment when you realize you can, of mine own self, I can do nothing. And it's absolutely ludicrous to think that you can. And and then this trust, like we were saying the other week, I remember discussing this with you, Joni, that it kind of builds and builds and builds up, because I was saying that the book by oh, why do names go? Not I Am That. I'm looking at that. No, it's famous man came to America, taught create.
Yogananda?
Yogananda. Thank you so much, Lynn. In his book, what was that book called? I Am a, no, what was it called? That the famous, I've read it. That's the book I'm trying.
Autobiography of a Yogi.
That's it. Oh, I'm
Yeah.
so glad you always know these things. It's brilliant. Well, do you remember in that book, he's as a young boy, he so wants to find God. He gets on a train all by himself. He's got no money. He doesn't worry about where he's going to sleep that night. He just knows he'll be taken care. He knows from this young age he will be fed, he will be sheltered, and he'd not arranged anything. He just put himself on the train. And I remember being so blown away by that when the first time I read that book and thought, but I don't think I'll ever get to that stage of such radical trust. And then I used to give myself a hard time about that, because I thought, well, if you can't get on a train and go to the other side of the world without any money, if you can't do that, you're rubbish. What kind of a spiritual warrior are you? But then I realized that over the years that the trust, you don't have to push the trust just builds and builds and builds, and it builds through all these stupid mistakes that we make, things that we do that we know that we shouldn't have done. And then we realize if we'd have just left it to God, and then that trust builds like that, as you see that when, and particularly what I find very interesting about driving, and particularly what you were saying, Vince, is that I've realized now that whenever I'm doing anything and it feels like I'm late, and then if I get stressed, there's always more of an obstacle. Suddenly there'll be some road work, or there'll be an accident, something, because I've already worried about it. But the minute that I drop that worry, and always now I know that whatever happens, I will be there at the perfect time. And also, if I was worried about the parking space, I know that yes, I think I'm late, but I'm not really, because when I get there, that person will have just freed that space up in time just for me. And that always works. I mean, it just always works. And there's another thing that I've done for years, because it's a lovely, fun practice, is that you can turn all the traffic lights on green. You can do it. It's amazing. All you have to do is you feel that your sense of presence, the present moment, this is how I do it. I let it just drop and drop and drop and drop. So it's right down in the base of my stomach, like a heavy pebble that's gone down to the bottom of a lake. And when I've got that feeling, the lights turn green. And if I'm anything other than that stillness, they don't turn green, or they turn green much later. But I've done it. So I'm going to have all the lights on green, and I've just stayed in that place. So that's just something fun to experiment with. It really does work. But we can do it with everything, because whenever we just get, I mean, I'm just talking to people who know far more than me, you lot, but I just find that whenever I just drop the pebble right down to the bottom of the lake in whatever I'm doing, everything just goes perfectly right, and sort of that kind of thing. Yes, Lynn.
These stories, and I don't want to go into big story time here, but this reminds me so much of a situation. I've had this happen so many times, because I realized I read in the Course of Miracles that the Holy Spirit, or Jesus, is in charge of time and space, and that he will arrange things for us as we need them to be arranged. And I've had that many times, almost missing trains, etc. But one time I was at a workshop, and uh, we had just gotten out, and we went to the airport. We were waiting to go catch our flight to Atlanta or someplace. Anyway, there were a group of us. There were 3 or 4 of us, and we were actually hurrying because we were running very close on time. So we're hurrying, and this elderly lady was there with a walker and her suitcase, And she was saying, can anybody help me? I don't know where my gate, I don't know this, I don't, and oh my gosh, there was nobody else. I was there. There was nobody else. So of course I have to help this lady. And I know I'm going to be late I'm going to miss my flight. I just in my head resolve, okay, I'm going to miss my flight. All fine. I got to help this lady. So I helped this lady, got her to her gate, got her checked in. This was back in the olden days where you go to the gate and check in at this small airport. You got her checked in. Then I'm like, okay, well, I might as well, take my time getting to my gate because, it's already, my flight's gone. I thought my flight was gone already because that's how long it took. I get to my gate and I turned around and the other people that I was with came running up like they had been running the entire time to get where I was. And they said, how did you get here so fast? And I was like, that's a really good question to which I have no answer.
That
But
that time stopping thing, I know exactly what you mean. Mary once said to me, I said to her, "How did you do this?" About and she said, "I just stopped time. I stopped time for you." And when it happens to you, like you've just it's just so weird, isn't it? It's like a gap's been taken out, and you go, "Hey, hey, where did it go?" That's just amazing. I love those stories, Lynn. Thank you.
because they were huffing and puffing.
We never need to huff and puff, do we? That's other people's stuff. We never need to huff and puff. That's other people's stuff. Yeah. Yes, Rafi.
Once again, you're mirroring me. All of the stuff you said about driving and getting places and things like that. And I'm going to be late, and all of a sudden I'm 10 minutes early. And the driving with the green lights, I get green lights all the time. And if a light all of a sudden turns red before I get there, I think, okay, what's going on here? And I
Yeah.
look inside, and what's the feeling? What's the want? It's wanting control. Okay, so I bring up the wanting control feeling, and I release it, and I release it, and the light turns green, and all the rest of the lights are green all the way, and it's just releasing the feeling. And as soon as that, I'm back in peace. When I'm back in peace, I get to that hootless state where I couldn't care less if the lights were red, green, orange, purple, or maroon. It doesn't matter. And when I get to that, it doesn't matter state anymore. That hootless, everything turns green and everything runs smoothly. And then when I get to near where I'm going, I always say, beingness, a parking space, safe, close, free, legal, easy, convenient now. Thank you. Boom. And it's there. And there's never a time when it isn't. And if it gets to a point where I get to a place and there's not a parking space, and I pull over and I wait, and I said, just okay, let go of wanting control, let go of wanting control, yes, let go of wanting control, and somebody pulls out, there's a spot for me. But that happens all the time. Go to an airport and I'm confused about how to use the ticket machine, and a guy walks over to me and says, well, here, let me help you. Perfect stranger. And this stuff is not rare. This is ordinary. All this happens all the time, and everything runs smoothly, and everything goes the way it's supposed to go. And I'm never agitated about anything. I just stay in peace and keep loving and loving and loving and loving. And I'm driving along saying, I love you, I love you, I love you, and seeing everybody as the Christ consciousness, seeing everybody as the divine spirit, divine love that they really are, and that people, so there's never any judging. And so everything unfolds perfectly. It's just like, well, there it is, being perfectly taken care of all the time. I look back on my life. How was I a single parent? How did I do that? I have no idea. How did my career go so well? I don't know. I have no idea. How did I have such a fantastic relationship with this woman for almost 40 years? I have no idea. Because I've divinely taken care of, divinely provided for, divinely guided. And slip right back into gratitude again and stay there. And that gratitude, and with that gratitude comes great joy and great peace. Thank you.
I think we all echo that. Thank you so much, Rafi. Yeah, it's we're gratituding, aren't we? We don't have to be we don't have to be grateful. We are gratituding. You know, it's happening naturally. And like you say, that seeing everybody as that divine light, as that divine love wherever you go. It's just the world seems a very kind place when you know when you do that. That's what's reflected back to you, isn't it? I just want to say hello to some people. There's John. Hello, John. And Dove. Hello, Dove. Hi, Linda. And we've got Cheryl there as well. Hi, Cheryl. Oh, lovely. What a lovely group. Yes, John. Hi.
So thanks, Mandy. Thanks, everybody. This is an amazing call, and it kind of speaks to me, Mandy. But what you said about the one person in the orchestra can make the whole thing different. You know, that the one person at peace or at ease. You know that, and that kind of led me to the one philosophical thing that I got from my teacher. He said every living thing grows into the likeness of its environment. So like just to be in that environment where there's peace and you know within your own soul and having just the knowledge that's being spread, extended out throughout, and especially through that poem, like it's through my eyes, through my ears, it's been extended. That what has been extended, the gratitude, and that's the thing. The thing that I loved about that because it right away, what does gratitude mean? And this is what I got: taking great pleasure in the simplest things and acknowledge everything we receive from others. And my dad was like that. You know, he was, you know, he could always see the funny side of things. And, you know, it was just great to be around him. He was never a rich man or anything like that in terms of material wealth, but oh my God, what an incredible source of richness and joy and just simple gratitude, really, just for being what is. And I really want to acknowledge Mandy and the people who show up for what you bring to my life and the opportunities that extend from this moment forth and on the beginning of Monday morning. Oh my goodness me, you know, I'm so grateful to you. So thank you so much, and I'm seeing that through my eyes for this week and for the rest of my life, I hope. Thank you, Mandy.
I'm so grateful to you, John, and thank you for those lovely words. And it's like Rafi was saying that each one of us is seeing ourselves here. This is what we're seeing, you know, and we're seeing this one self, isn't it? And these richnesses, these experiences, and all these things, and everything that we're saying is really mirroring each other and reflecting each other. And that is so beautiful to be in a group for me as well that has this total reliance on God, knowing that's the only thing, the only way. Oh, it's just beautiful. It's just magnificent. Yes, Joni.
Gonna let Eileen go. I'll go after her.
Okay. Hi.
Okay.
Yeah.
John talked about the sense of humor. And yes, this weekend I was looking forward to going to a concert that of a person that I've followed for many years, Deva Premal and Minton. And I saw that they were having a concert in Boulder City. So I buy a ticket. I go to the theater, which is called Boulder Theater. There's nobody there. This is Boulder City, Nevada. There's a Boulder Theater in Boulder, Colorado. There's two. So I sent a message to my friend. This concert was so quiet. I couldn't hear it. We have to look at the joy. I got to meet people I would not have met because I went to Boulder City. That's about an hour for me. Boulder, Colorado is 12 hours. And Deva, I'll listen to her CD and just pretend I was there. But I could have been really upset. But I was it was funny. It was funny. And truly, if we take life with joy and laughter, it's a lot better. It's a lot easier. I mean, before the course, and I'm a member of Al-Anon, I would have been so mad. I probably would have been kicking the gate, but it just let it flow. And then I had this beautiful English meal, a pasty, a Cornish pasty, which
Pasty, a Cornish
pasty,
pasty.
pasty. And I would not have
Wow.
gone to that if I had gone to the concert. So I looked at that beautiful food I had, that sustenance that filled my heart and my soul.
Can't believe you got a Cornish pasty in America. Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a lovely story. Thank you so much. I love it when things happen like that. I was supposed to go and see an amazing exhibition I wanted to see recently. And when we got there, it was shut, but we found somebody who somebody mentioned who helped me to buy the ticket from the machine because I was getting it, rubbish. And then I met somebody who had been at the same concert of me with me years ago. And I met lovely people all through the day. And me and my friend had a great time. And it was just so full. The thing is, we think we have these destinations, don't we? But God knows otherwise. Again, it's not what we think we're going to see. So I love that, Eileen. That's beautiful.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Joni.
Well, I'm going to share on the line, and wherever I go, I'm always there. And now living in slow motion as you show me how to lean not onto my own understanding. And then in dropping all the trying, my peace is expanding. For me, this is the opposite of what we're talking about. I'm starting to see a pattern where I hang on for resentful's life. I mean, I hang on to things for a very long time, whether it comes from Catholicism or martyrism or whatever, I can't fool that pattern anymore, whether it was marriage or a job or a home or any of these things. When I hang on to them to the point where I won't have the conversation with God or my soul, I'm then lying to myself. And then I'm not living life. I'm not living in slow motion. I'm living in the hair on fire motion. and I was talking to, what I love about this group is, and Mandi, is the practical, it's kind of like, I remember this one thing where I'm somebody who, I remember 3 times in order to learn to swim, I had to be helped into get to the edge, and I wouldn't take the dive. And I hung on and clung. So it's a big lesson in trust, deep trust, which I know intellectually. But what I noticed this time is when I let go of the results of what I think should happen when things don't go my way, I got to feel the trust we talk about, the trust in that mystery. It isn't based on what may or may not happen. It's just that feeling and knowing from that knowing that God, that I'm living in God's life as we talk about here, in slow motion, in with the pause, no matter what's going on. And so I appreciate it because I've seen the pattern over and over. It's happening again. And but this time I'm choosing to let go and take that little dive off the bridge to the mystery, not to what the outcome will be. I'm kind of mastered parking lots. It's like, okay, I don't get a parking lot or a red light, I'll use it for exercise or something. But I guess I'm just rearranging the chairs on the Titanic. That deep going like a pebble, into the depth of trust like a pond is something I'm really getting here. I mean, I'm a great talker about it, but being that and feeling that is scary for me. And certainly it's coming up again. So I'm back asking, because it's not about the other. It's about my pattern, my choices. And thanks for hearing it out.
Oh, Joni, that's lovely. I love that you're always so utterly honest about exactly where you are. And where you are is the same, nobody's got it licked. Do you know what I mean? Because if we'd got it licked, we wouldn't actually be still physically here seeing each other. So, I mean, it's great to hear these things because every problem that we encounter is for each other to work out. It doesn't I'll never forget it when I worked in a place where the boss of this, but it was a centre for people with learning disabilities, and they always those places seemed to have a team of staff who it was very I can't hierarchy, I can't say that hierarchical, yes. Anyway, the boss in this new place that I came to, um, she was just lovely, and she said, my idea is that we have a sort of democratic way that we do this. So I said, well, what do you mean? So she said, well, if we have a team meeting and you have an idea of how something could be done better, do not be scared to mention it in case people say, well, you have to do it. And that was remarkable to me because I'd kept my ideas to myself a lot in places I'd worked before because I might have a good idea, but I was far too frightened of the fact that I didn't think I could put it into operation or on my own. And she said, but you're not on your own. So be brave, mention an idea that you've had. So I mentioned an idea which would have taken a lot of work. And she said, she didn't turn to me. She turned to everybody in the room. She said, now, who thinks that they could put this into action? Or how many of you think you can do this? Or she didn't put it on me. And I really understood then that she was kind of mirroring the way that God takes care of everything. It's not all down to us, and we all have these different struggles at different times. So it's very useful to hear things like that, like you've just said. Very, very useful because it's great and it's so courageous. People don't realize how courageous they are. This path is not an easy one. It's a simple one, but it ain't an easy one all the time, you know.
And just will add, thanks, Vince, is, doesn't really matter what the story is, because the ultimate underneath all of that is, the battle I have between the ego and trusting God. I want to trust God, but it's like that standing on the edge of a rock to dive into the lake or on even swimming lessons. I had to be pushed off the diving board. Literally people have had to do that. And I mean, when I was younger, but I carried that whole thing into my marriage, jobs, situations. And then I get to that level of anger that I don't see is at myself, and I take it out on other people because that resentment, I thought I've done everything I'm supposed to. This is still not working out no matter. And I realized even last night, waiting to change people to see the value, see my position or whatever isn't the name of the game. The name is, can I really shift? And when I really said, okay, I'm going to, like Mary demonstrates to me regularly about trusting God in her situation, looking for a place to live. Can I say, okay, whatever happens, honestly, I'm going to be okay with it. And that applies to my court situation, job situations, and bank account. And finally, I think it was, it was Maureen talking about a foot. The bank account, the court, the jobs are all for supporting this channel, this body, for being God's channel or extension. This is not the end. The situation's not the end. And I'm blocking that flow if I get stuck on that in my righteousness, which I tend to be.
And also we can't, we've all made this mistake. We can't wait for others to see the value in us. We can't do that. We have to know the value as God's creation We have to know our value. We can't look to others to try and find the value and then resent them if they don't see it, because it doesn't matter how much work we do on their behalf or whatever, whoever they are, whatever the situation, they're never going to find our value if we don't see it in ourselves. And that really is true, you know. So thank you, Joni. Yes, Vince.
Um, yeah, I'm listening to all the stories that we have about these seeming coincidences with God coming through us. And, we see it in our own lives, but sometimes there's, you're blessed to see that actual extension that is happening in theory, but you don't always see it, because that happened in my life where there was a coincidence with my friend and I wasn't there. Uh, he was in line for a concert and noticed that he was standing behind or in front of a family that was there with their young daughter. She was about 7 years old. And so he struck up a conversation with them, you know, because he was admiring that they were passing down the love of the music to another generation. And so in that moment of of gratitude and friendship, they struck up a friendship because they were from the area, the same area. And it, through him, I became friends with them. And together, we we saw these other people passing out pamphlets for their newsletter, and we became friends with them. And through them, we got backstage passes to meet all our heroes. We met Ian Anderson from Jethro Tull. We met Steve Howe from Yes, Chris Squire from Yes, Emerson, Lake and Palmer,
Oh,
all these people. But more importantly, after they had, we met their young daughter and we used to go to their house for these, mailing parties to help the people put together their newsletter. They went through in vitro because they wanted to have more children and were having difficulties. And they wound up having two daughters, not one, but two. The first one was they were trying, and the second one was a happy accident almost immediately after. And I became godfather to both of those girls.
Oh.
So you have this thing that starts out very small and it just spreads outward, and you don't know how many other people are benefiting from those coincidences you've experienced that you don't see. I was lucky to see this one in my own life, but they're out there.
oh, first of all, thank you. I will never forget that story. That's mega. And not only that, I think it will help us all, certainly help me, to be more aware of these little tiny chances. I mean, I do tend to sort of notice these things, but also not notice them because you can't notice everything, and that's really helped me to sort of think, I'm just not going to miss anything. I will never forget that story, Vince. That is really fabulous. Thank you so much. I love that. Yes, Rafi.
Yes, first of all, I want to thank Joni for a couple of my triggers. Appreciate it, darling. When you started to bring up things that you were afraid of, in a few days, this body image is going to turn 86. And that brought up fear of dying. You're aging, your body is going to deteriorate and you're going to die. Great. Okay, so I looked at that first. What's the first one? The first one is one I won't be approved of if my body is if I'm going to deteriorate, I'm going to die, people aren't going to like that. So I brought up wanting approval and let that go. Then you have no control over the aging process and the death rate. That's gonna so wanting control. I brought up all those wanting control feelings and let them go. And of course, the final one of wanting to survive, wanting safety, security, survival, brought up all of those feelings and let all of those feelings go. And I reached a place where the pure joy of being just it's like almost like a volcano. It just keeps coming up and up and up. All of that, all the joy, all of the peace, and the loving and the loving and the loving. Because the main focus is I gotta remember what I am. There is no other purpose, and all of that is getting me there. So what is the birthday about? The birthday is about getting me to freedom and about self-realization. What about bringing up all those fears and letting them go? What's that all about? Getting me to real self-realization, the imperturbable peace that I am, the remembering of my divine infinite beingness, and how everything is working toward that. Well, everything that happens in my day-to-day things, my net worth keeps increasing without me having to do anything about it. I always have good health. I have loving relationships. All of that stuff. That's all supplementary to that. All happens because I'm just staying focused on the main purpose, on the only purpose, and then I look back at how blessed I am. And every morning I have a list this long, and every night I have a list this long of all the stuff that I'm grateful for. And that gratitude feeds everything else. So everything is feeding. It has been divinely orchestrated for us every moment that we are led by this infinite power every step of the way. And all we got to do is trust it. And we're right back to TRUST again, and total acceptance. So the blessings just keep piling up. I've got tens and tens of thousands of these blessings, these gains, and sometimes it's a little boggling, and at the same time, it's like, oh, this is perfectly natural. It's just astounding, and not astounding at all.
Oh, thank you, Rafi. And also, of course, there's no stops. There isn't such a thing as a birthday. That's a mortal thing, isn't it? And I mean, if you, my friend Adrian, we were talking about one of my favorite films, the original film of Lost Horizon, which was made in the 30s, I think, with Ronald Colman. And they go into this, gets to Shangri-La, and the very wise monk who's kind of being the host, somebody says in the group, "Oh, it's my birthday." And he just says, "Oh, every time you celebrate a birthday, you build another fence around you." You know what I mean? It's like there aren't any birthdays or end days, is it? It's continuous. So why should we use that as any kind of looking at anything? You are continuous, and that's it. Rafi,
Numbers and
you know that.
the numbers don't mean anything. They're
Don't
just
mean anything.
numbers. And numbers in a dream. I mean, this is all a dream. Right now, we're dreaming that we're on a Zoom call.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the dream is perfect, so it's working. Everything works toward our ultimate good.
That's it. That's it. Ever youthful as well. Thank you so much. Yes, Linda. Hello, Linda.
Hi, everyone. Wow, that I was late getting on the call. Thank you, Joni, for your technical assistance. That when Rafi, it's no accidents I should follow you. Gratitude feeds everything. So as some of you know, 2 years ago, my twin sister, my identical twin, was diagnosed with glioblastoma, a very aggressive brain cancer. And she took the journey for 9 months and left this earth plane December 25th, 2023. And thanks to Cheryl Pawchuk on the call and her grief work, I journeyed through it, but I really wasn't living. I was really existing, and I was just in such deep, deep grief. And it wasn't until about 2 weeks ago that I turned the page in my thinking, and I came to a place of deep gratitude that for 76 years I had Lisa in my life. And I just continued to live in gratitude and remember the memories and remember the gifts. And just so daily, my heart heals now because I've changed my mind and turned the pain into a great gift of gratitude. So, and I now will move forward, can move forward. And I'm just so grateful that I had Lisa for all these years. So, until we're able to really, as I love listening to Rafi, gratitude feeds everything. And to remember that we're led by this infinite power. So that power is deep within me now. And I feel this surge of growth for myself. And I'm not sure what my next step is. I don't need to know. I will be led by the divine. But I know this is a monumental gift in my life that will propel me forward to the next chapter. So I can't thank each one of you. Every call, Mandi, Joni for spearheading it, Lynn Johnson, Rafi, all of you for your wisdom, Mary, all of you, Dove. It's just, you're all just part of my healing process. So I love you all. Thank you so much.
Oh, Linda, thank you so much. I'm so glad that you've turned that corner because I've thought about you a lot. I've prayed about you a lot. I'm sure, I know we all have. But in my prayer, I was just thinking, I just hope she turns that corner. So to hear you say those words, and we also said last time that you don't need to mention what she died of. You don't, that we can drop that, you know.
That story, and I did say it today, but the story is not anywhere now part of my healing. So, and you had mentioned that to me on a call I had with you. So thank you for reiterating that again too, Mandi. Thank you.
And the thing is, to have had 76 years with her, I mean, my goodness, that's wonderful. And now, Lisa will just be knowing it's your time to shine too. She's wanting you to shine, my goodness. That laughing lady is wanting you to laugh too. She's right here anyway. Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. John, yes, you've had your hand up a long time. Sorry, John.
I know it's coming up time to hear the poem again. I'm looking forward to that, but I can't let it go by without just commenting on what I heard from Joni because it's so beautiful. Really, and it kind of speaks to the power, the absolute power that she owns at the swimming pool. That she's standing on her feet. She's standing on her feet in the courtroom. She's standing on her feet in that marriage. She's standing on her feet everywhere. She's rooted in massive power. She's standing there saluting the flag. And you know what? For me, all I see is a mighty muscle being developed, being constantly developed. And it's now time to possibly raise a new flag and use all those resources that she's developed, in service to that power in a new purposeful way. And that kind of speaks to the gratitude, the immense gratitude, and what I want to go back to is the laughter, because we can't catch laughter. Like it's something that's inherent somewhere. If you just watch stand-up comics and just live your life happily ever after, And I don't care if it's a birthday, because birthdays you can have a birthday every day because you can be happy every day. So Joni, I love you in your reporting of your story and the building of your strength in the service of a mighty, mighty power that's within you. Thank you so much.
Oh, John, bingo. Right on, my friend. That's fantastic. So true. So true.
Absolutely. Didn't I just say before the call how mighty you were, Joni? Yes, Joni, anyway, you've got your hand up, so do.
Thank you, John, and everyone. I just wanted to say what I've noticed here today is, and thank you, Linda, for adding that little layer of story, and then about the brain cancer, and then Mandi. I'm willing to get to that point where I don't need the story to remind me where I'm at. I'm going to take full responsibility for that separation, laugh, pause, and giggle, and let it go. And there might be times where I need to make a course correction, and I can take that in deeper meditation and journaling to Holy Spirit. But as Rafi talked, and all the fun things with the parking lots, all these things that we've been talking about, it really always boils down to, am I aware? Can I let that go? And can I be present in trust? And I'm going to be willing. And I just want to say, we haven't heard from Sharon and Mary today. So, and Cheryl, so if they have anything to add, I would love to hear it. We have time if it's all right with you, man.
Of course. Yeah. And Vince, you've got your hand up. Yeah.
Yeah, I was glad that you liked the story that I told earlier. And it just, as people were talking, I realized there's more to this story that might be beneficial to all of us to remember. And that is, as it turns out, my goddaughters lost their father when they were young. They were in 7th and 8th grade when he passed. And they are now in their late 20s. I am going to France this summer for one of their weddings. And so we are all still friends. And as it turns out, their mother would become a Trump supporter.
Mm.
And this is a very visceral reminder that our blessings come from all places. And you don't want to throw out the babies, literally, with the bathwater because you have disagreements in political spheres. And, because I can see all the wonderful things that I received from this woman throughout the last 30 years of my life, this one thing about her politics cannot be the one thing that destroys a friendship. And, if we think about that and extend it to the people we don't know, maybe there's a path forward where we have room in our hearts for all these people.
Right, Vince, that's just beautifully said. I mean, nothing has been more divisive than, the presidential election, the British elections, the elections all over the world, the thing with the vaccination or not vaccination, people making horrible opinions and judgments about each other, which are absolutely, nobody's got ideas at all about how anybody else is coming, where they're coming from, why they've got that idea, and people are casting aspersions on other people about, well, they're not as good as I am because I got vaccinated, or I didn't vote for Trump, or it's really so much about division, and it's nothing to do with God. And the moment that we chuck out the baby with the bathwater, or come down into these opinionated ideas, we are totally leaving the course, whether it's the Course in Miracles, the cause of God, the one cause. And we are only listening to God. We are only relying on God. And that's it. And our opinions, they really don't matter. And they're based on, well, just based on nothing, really. They're all unfounded. How do we know anything? Really, we don't, But we do know that the trust that we can have in God, and that always pulls us all together in this oneness, where there's no separation. It's beyond all that. So thank you very much, Vince, because that's a lovely way to leave this meeting. Thank you. And thank you to everybody. It's been just amazing to be here. I just feel so, I haven't got words to say how happy this makes me. And thank you so much to Joni for being my Girl Friday. And thank you so much to Lynn to sort of letting everybody know about these meetings. It's just so wonderful. And we haven't heard from you, Dov, but I'm just giving you a big wave. I think we're going to put the poem up. Oh, thank you. Okay, so I'll just read it. Unless anybody else, does anybody else like to read this poem this week? If you do, put your hand up. Can't see everybody, mind you, so I might be missing someone. Okay, I'll read it then, since nobody's put the hand up. Oh, I've got a copy here, don't I? Yeah. Oh, yeah, you got it there. Great. As I let only you inform my senses, it removes all my hesitation fences. As I let you see through my eyes, everything seen is an astonishing surprise. As I let you hear through my ears, it removes all my blocks and fears. As I let you meet with another, they feel as familiar as my sister or brother. All judgments drop as you show me who they are. Then I'm dazzled by the light of their brilliant star. And as I let you play the music every time I'm performing, it feels so inspiring, so relaxing and transforming. And as I let you do the driving from my leaving to arriving, the journey's so peaceful and the path so straight. There's always a parking space and I'm never late. And wherever I go, I'm always here and now, living life in slow motion as you show me how to lean not unto my own understanding. And then in dropping all trying, my peace is expanding. And as I release all effort and second guessings, every moment of my life is abundant with blessings. And the only way I can live in this high altitude is by earthing myself in eternal gratitude. In constant thankfulness, my feet stay grounded, while my soul is free to fly unbounded. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you all so much. Thank you. Wow. These calls are just pure. Well, I can't use the word magic, can I? But you know what I mean.
You can. It is magic. Thank you, Mandy. I love you.
So
Love
much.
you
Thank
too. Thank you. See you all next week. God bless.
Thank you.
Bye.